Okay, so boom! The scene kicks off with Hidan sitting on some steps waiting for Kakuzu to come back with their cash. The two of them are fresh off of packing up this Vin Diesel looking monk who had a bounty on his head. I know that bounty was fat too. People sure would pay a lot of money to get a glimpse of their future in that crystal ball, cue ball, shiny head of his. Head so bald you just wanna hit him with that Michael Jordan. As Hidan continues to wait patiently on the stairs, he hears the footsteps of someone behind him. So naturally, he assumes that the footsteps are Kakuzu. But once he fully rotates to see who it is, we see the man of the hour, Asuma, posed up behind him. And he's not here to play no games either. My man Asuma is ready to get to work immediately. He quickly throws 3 shurikens, but Hidan manages to block them with his sight just in time. He then tries to throw his sight at Asuma, but before it could reach him, my boy Shikamaru pulls up and hits him with that infamous shadow possession jutsu. Hidan, now confused as to why he can't move, tries to get a glimpse of what's keeping him in place. But Asuma's squad was trying to get that KO in record time. So Izumo and Kotetsu charge in and pierce Hidan with these long blades from both directions. Now after seeing Hidan get turned into a meat kebab, Asuma and Shikamaru are already ready to celebrate. This man Shikamaru over here grinning, probably happy as hell his lazy ass gets to clock out early. And Asuma's over here talking about something. That's one of them down. Nigga, let the body drop first? Like damn, I can't stand when a kill gets claimed too early. Niggas will shoot their opponent once talking about some, we got him. Oh, not if you don't go ahead and empty that clip. After piercing Hidan with 2 blades, all 4 members of Asuma's squad stand there waiting for him to drop. But after letting Kotetsu sniff his musty armpits for a few more seconds, this man Hidan in the most casual, nonchalant voice says,
"Ow, that hurts. Who are you people? Quit sticking it in like that."
First of all, pause. Second of all, how is this man still alive? But he got 2 thick-ass swords poking out his chest and back, and he's over here speaking perfectly without even a little stutter. Yeah, go ahead and pack up, y'all. This one's not even worth it. Now they're just standing there, face to face, chopping it up, until Hidan notices the symbol around Asuma's waist. Hidan then puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that Asuma is also a part of the same Guardian Ninja collective that Vin Diesel was under. So now, like the money-hungry demon he is, he plans on collecting the bounty that's on Asuma's head too. Asuma then proceeds to go on a yapathon, basically sharing the whole plan, talking about some
We are Shinobi of the Elite Village. Our orders are to capture or eliminate you, Akatsuki. My original idea was to take down one of you first, then capture.
Shut up, nigga.
My brother, why are you spilling the beans to this man? What do you gain from this? You are literally giving his partner more time to come and join the fight. And funny enough, guess what happens next? Kakuzu comes flying out of nowhere with his fist cocked back, ready to punch the ponytail out of Shikamaru's head. Shikamaru manages to evade the attack, but this move of evasion also released Hidan from his grasp. Kakuzu continues to chase Shikamaru, but Asuma quickly jumps in front of Kakuzu while the other 2 retreat from Hidan. Now they're all back to back, ready to plot their next move. Now you think with Kakuzu in the mix now, Hidan would work with him to wrap up this fight quickly and go cash in the check, but that was not the case. Instead, Hidan's talking about some
Kakuzu, just stay out of this, alright? I want these 3 for my ritual. You can have them after.
I beg your pardon? The f you mean you can have them after? Shikamaru, you gonna let him talk to you like this? He just said he's trying to pass y'all around like an industry bop. You can have them after. Nigga, I'm not Ruby Rose. Kakuzu ultimately backs down, allowing Hidan to take the 1v4. But that is when we see this nigga Hidan drawing this devilish looking symbol with his own blood on the ground. Now I admit I was too distracted by the second half of Hidan's monologue, but if we take it back a little bit, we can hear this demon say,
I want these 3 for my ritual.
You what?
What ritual is homeboy talking about? This plus that blood symbol you drew on the ground was already enough to qualify you for a prayer and a complimentary exorcism. But if you don't want to take my word for it, take Shikamaru's. After watching him draw that symbol with the blood on the ground, Shikamaru quickly bowed his head and started saying a prayer. I'm not lying. If you don't believe me, go check it out for yourself. This is him speaking right now. After praying and strategizing for a bit longer, Hidan finally cuts them off and pulls the 2 swords out of his body. Then, to my surprise, he says,
The gods shall punish those who don't understand the pain of others.
Bro, which god are you talking about? See, you gotta be careful with people like this. I had a friend pray that his enemy's house blows up into pieces. Come to find out his op lives with his innocent granny and her 3 puppies. I don't think God's gonna fulfill that prayer. After staring at each other for a bit longer, Asuma makes the first move and charges at Hidan. So Hidan rushes towards him too. They both collide, but Asuma manages to cut Hidan's blade in half with his. Before Hidan could even realize his blade's been cut, Shikamaru guns at him with his shadow shadow stitches, so Hidan quickly jumps out the way. While in the air, he throws his broken blade at Asuma, which he blocks with ease. Then he sends his scythe at his head, but Asuma weaved that move with zero difficulty. Hidan then digs the scythe into the ground and uses it to drag him away from Shikamaru's shadow stitches. So Asuma proceeds to charge at him again, but this time Hidan tries to catch him off guard by jumping in the air to get him from above. But Asuma was able to adjust and block the blow just in time. Shikamaru continues to try and catch him with his shadow stitches, but Hidan's just too fast. Eventually, Hidan gets tired of playing this cat and mouse game, so he throws his scythe at Shikamaru. But Asuma steps in front and proceeds to hit this holy whoa real quick, and now the ghost of Vin Diesel is right beside him. All of a sudden, this angelic music starts to play, and this golden 20-handed goddess appears behind him. Now, the first time I seen this, I genuinely thought Hidan was cooked. Look at this heavenly looking jutsu. You cannot tell me he's not about to punch the soul out of his chest with all 20 arms. But instead, all this man does is stiff arm the scythe and tickle this man's titty. Bro, don't piss me off. This clickbait ass jutsu. You couldn't even make Hidan touch the ground? Then to make things worse, he has the audacity to hit us with his little smirk like he did something. Asuma, quit playing and lock the f in. Asuma then throws 3 shurikens at him, so Hidan jumps out the way. Now, as sorry as these shuriken throws might have seemed, that was all according to plan, because as soon as he jumped, Shikamaru quickly sent his shadow stitches at him, but they missed him by just a hair. Hidan then tries to slice Asuma in half, but Asuma manages to hit the most elegant backflip over the blades. Hidan continues to run from the stitches, but finally Asuma, Izumo, and Kotetsu got this man cornered. So at the same time, they all throw a bunch of shurikens at him. Now, during the last 5 minutes of this fight, Hidan must have forgot he was immortal, because instead of dodging the shurikens like he's been doing, he lets all the shurikens pierce his body, then continues to charge at Shikamaru. Asuma's not letting him get a hand on his shogi partner, so he decides to chase down Hidan. So he turns around and throws a kunai at Asuma, which he blocks, but then Hidan hits that same backflip Gervonta Davis does after every knockout, just up there levitating, stunning on his opponent. Then he throws his scythe at Asuma. He blocks the scythe, but not before getting pierced by the tip of one of his blades. Now, normally a little scratch like this wouldn't be a cause for concern, but judging by the look on Asuma's face, I can tell that something is very wrong. Hidan begins to retract his scythe. Then he starts sticking that tongue out, trying to show us what that mouth did. Asuma, thinking he has Hidan right where he wants him, decides to boot up his burning ass jutsu. And now the air is filled with ash from his nasty ass cigarette-filled tar black lungs. Lungs probably out here looking the same color as Hidan's soul. As the air continues to fill with ash, Hidan licks the tip of the blade, walks into the blood circle he drew at the beginning of the fight, and then we see his skin color change. Asuma's ready to wrap this up, so he bites down on the ash and causes a huge explosion, sending Hidan back to the depths of hell that he came from. Amen, won't he do it? Hallelujah. Or at least that's what I wanted to happen. Because after all the smoke from the explosion fades, we see this demon crouched down in his blood circle, talking about some
hurts, doesn't it?
And that is when we see Asuma covered in burns as if he was the one in the explosion. Everyone's staring at the two of them, confused as to what they just witnessed. But before they could even make a hypothesis, Hidan screams out, Let's experience this ultimate pain together, shall we? Then he whips out this giant rod. Asuma assumes that he whipped out the rod to use on him, so he takes out a weapon of his own and sprints towards Hidan. But unfortunately, he misread the situation, because that rod wasn't for him, it was for Hidan. Hidan then proceeds to stab his own leg without flinching, and at the same moment of contact, Asuma's legs give out, then he proceeds to kiss the ground. Now Hidan's really having fun. This psychopath is over there yelling at Asuma's body, talking about some
hurts, huh?
While laughing hysterically. Bro, listen to this man's laugh. If you ever hear someone laugh like this, please proceed with caution, cause I promise you, they got a couple screws loose. Now Izumo, Kotetsu, and Shikamaru are watching Asuma's leg bleed out while trying to figure out how he's doing this. Eventually, all 4 of them are able to figure out that Asuma and Hidan's body are somehow linked. Hidan points the rod right at his chest, then attempts to drive it through his heart. By the look on Asuma's face, you could tell his life was flashing before his eyes. He was completely helpless. But right before Hidan could pierce his chest, Shikamaru manages to get off his Shadow Strangle Jutsu in time, stopping Hidan from completing the devastating blow. Ooh, y'all had me sweating like I was there. Look at these niggas sweating buckets, stressed as hell. I know their hearts are beating at 150 beats per minute. Shikamaru's now over there using every atom in his body to keep his hold on Hidan. And now they're just in a stalemate. stalemate. Nobody seems to be able to come up with any ideas. That is until Kakuzu provides them with a little motivation by offering Hidan his help. When I seen this man step up to bat, I began pleading on their behalf like my life was on the line. If they're already getting cooked in a 1v4, imagine if it's a 2v4. They'd be finished. And I'm not even hating, they know it too. Look at their reaction when he attempted to join the fight. They do not want smoke. Thankfully, Hidan's overconfident self tells him to back his ugly ass up and let him handle it. Shikamaru then really starts to get in his bag and brainstorm a bit more, and after closely analyzing all of Hidan's previous moves, he finally knows how to stop him. He quickly puts his plan into action and begins to shuffle Hidan's feet out of the circle. After a bit of a struggle, he finally manages to get him out. So Asuma wastes no time testing if he's still linked to Hidan by slicing his ear open with a shuriken. And once Asuma felt that he wasn't affected by the slice, Shikamaru uses his shadow stitches to restrain him. Asuma then gets up and begins to hobble his broken self over to Hidan. Nigga was taking forever, but he hit the Terry Fox jog all the way to him. But as much as I applaud Asuma for his determination, I couldn't help but get upset at the fact that these bums are just standing there watching him slowly walk to him. Nigga, if you don't run over there and end him, what have y'all done all fight except throw some shurikens? Uniforms in pristine condition, not a single speck of dust on it. I even tried to put some respect on y'all names by actually using your names to begin with. But let's be real, there's not one person on earth who would respond to the question, who's your favorite Naruto character? With an answer of, yeah, mine is Izumo, he's rad. And that guy Kotetsu, they're just both pretty cool. The way they just, nigga, no. After taking 40 years to get to Hidan, Asuma wastes no more time and slices his head clean off. And that is when everyone begins to let their guard down. As to why they feel so comfortable with Kakuzu eyeing them down from the sidelines is beyond me, but a win is a win, I guess. I would have been slightly more amped for this small victory if it weren't for Tweedledee over here talking about some, we did it, we did it, we did it. We. You know what? You're not even worth the roast. The joy from the small win eventually fades and they collectively refocus their attention on their next target. But the little momentum and confidence they had left was quickly destroyed when Kakuzu said,
if you wanted my help, Hidan, you should have asked sooner.
Then we see this man Hidan, fully conscious, yelling loud as hell as if his head isn't completely severed from his body. Now, the two of them are just casually having a conversation while the others watch. Hidan's basically begging Kakuzu to reconnect his head to his body, and eventually Kakuzu gives in. He practically teleports over to Hidan, then grips the top of his head like he's about to roll the nastiest strike I've ever seen. But as shocked as they all are, they still think they have the upper hand. Shikamaru determines that as long as Hidan's body is still separated from his head, they should be good. Now they're all plotting on a way to escape, considering the fact that Asuma looks like he just got out of a car crash, and Shikamaru can barely stand. Look at him, coughing up a storm. That secondhand smoke from all them shogi games with Asuma is finally kicking in. All four of them continue to strategize until Kakuzu's finally had enough. Mid-brainstorm, he teleports to Asuma and hits him with the same lethal leg kick they hit Jaden Smith with in Karate Kid. Then he decks the cigarette fumes out of his skull with that deal or no deal ass briefcase. Asuma is clearly unable to defend himself at this point, so you'd think he'd leave him alone after those first two hits. But Kakuzu does not play with his food. 35 mil is on the line, so he's not messing around. He jumps 10 feet in the air, then proceeds to drop his knee into Asuma's spine. And now Asuma's just laid out on the ground with 12 crushed vertebrae and a leaking leg. You'd think this would be the time for the two no-names to jump in and help, but nope. They just watch this man Asuma get abused. Kakuzu then walks over to Hidan's body, stitches his head on, then returns his attention to Shikamaru and the no-names. I promise you, if Shikamaru was in any condition to fight, they would have let that nigga handle it. But both of the all-stars are out for the count, so they have no choice but to let the bench players in. Kotetsu kicks off their showdown by summoning this ugly-ass weapon. Then they both begin to charge at Kakuzu. Izumo quickly activates his water-style syrup trap jutsu, so Kakuzu jumps out the way to evade it. Kotetsu tries to catch him off guard and throws his Pokemon-looking weapon at him, so Kakuzu tries to catch it, but it weaves all of his attempts and crashes into the ground. The two simpletons really thought they got him with that elementary combo, but when the dust cleared, I was not surprised at all to see Kakuzu standing there staring at them unharmed. Kakuzu then raises his hand to deliver the final blow, but all of a sudden, Kotetsu's knockoff Pokemon comes flying out the ground behind him. He jumps to catch it, ready to smash him for real this time, so Kakuzu tries to jump out the way, but to his surprise, his feet are trapped by Uzumo's syrup. Okay, no names, I was not familiar with your game. This how you cook right here. I'm still not letting y'all slide slide though. Niggas wanna wait until the last minute to show out while Asuma's already in the waiting room to meet Jesus? Nah, f outta you. Kotetsu goes in for the final blow, but Kakuzu somehow unstitches his hands and launches them at his neck. Izumo tries to fight off the second hand, slicing and dicing his way through Kakuzu's symbiote, but inevitably, the hand catches him, and now they're both getting their oxygen squeezed out of them. Now that there's no one left to intervene, Hidan walks over to Asuma, ready to blow his candle out. He raises his rod and proceeds to utter his corny villain one-liner, but right before he could throw the rod, Asuma wakes up like the Undertaker and tries to slice Hidan's face off. Within a split second, Hidan manages to throw the rod, but the rod only goes through his shoulder, which wasn't enough to finish him. So he whips out his scythe and swings it right to the back of Asuma's head. Shikamaru yells at Asuma to watch out for the scythe, but then we hear the sound of a blade piercing skin while blood splashes in the air. Now my original guess was that Asuma was finished. That scythe clearly took his head clean off like he did to Hidan. A head for a head, a 69 if you will, but thankfully I was wrong. The camera pans down to Asuma and he still got his head on tight. It turns out he ducked right on time, and now the scythe is inches deep into Hidan's stomach. Asuma for a brief moment is very proud of himself for dodging that blow, until mid-sentence he realizes what just happened. Hidan then starts laughing hysterically, and that is when we see that this nigga is standing in the demon circle. I wanted to be mad at Asuma so bad, but this was honestly just a well thought out attack. Nigga had him beat from every angle. It was either this or the scythe carving out his head like a pumpkin, but he really had him in checkmate. Asuma, now in severe pain, grabs his stomach and starts coughing up blood, and that's when Shikamaru gathers the little strength he has left, gets up, and starts running towards Asuma. That boy was running with Division 1 track type form, arms swinging hard as hell, but the run ends prematurely when this man falls by tripping over a rock. Kishimoto, I know you didn't just let a rock take this nigga down while his sensei is about to get packed up. This tiny ass rock, that should have caused a stumble at best, but a whole faceplant? Shikamaru, you were carrying the whole first half of this fight, but you're low-key sorry for this. Now Hidan's just playing with Asuma, making him feel pain for his own pleasure. He's even jiggling the blade inside his stomach, just straight foul. He finally gets done toying with Asuma, so he raises his rod, and with no one left to intervene, he successfully drives the rod through his heart, and this is when we see our beloved Asuma collapse to the ground. Now, as much as I wish this wasn't the actual final blow, all of the signs were there. The classic triple instant replay, the birds flying away, and finally, a loved one getting a sense that something is wrong. I don't know what it is, but when someone special leaves this earth, niggas just somehow manage to know right when it happens. Her coochie must have started tingling or something, cause she immediately looks up and calls out Asuma's name. But what made it even worse was the fact that his death was used to pleasure this sadistic, kinky psychopath. Watching your sensei's death be used as some form of a drug has to be a different type of trauma. But shit, with a sorry squad like this and 35 mil on his head, this was your only fate. Even Doctor Strange couldn't find another reality where this wasn't the outcome, brother. You were cooked from the jump. And the worst part is Asuma couldn't even get off his dying wish, which was, and I quote, to like and subscribe to your boy. Come on now, respect the man's dying wish. Reinforcements eventually come, but it was too little too late. They tried to rush him to the Leaf Hospital, but Kakuzu refused to leave without collecting his bounty. But he was not leaving without that 35 mil. He was still throwing hands. But fortunately enough, everyone was spared from his wrath because the two of them were being summoned by their boss, forcing them to retreat for good, thus putting an end to this devastating battle. Overall, a capital S tier fight. The hand-to-hand combat, the strategizing, the banter. Ooh! Asuma and Shikamaru really gave it their all. The no-names tried to redeem themselves with that last-ditch effort to contribute, and as much as I despise Hidan and Kakuzu, I must admit that they're a duo that's not to be played with.
I don't really wanna know. Shorty telling me her name. I don't really wanna know. Had to wake up, go to work. I ain't really wanna go. God be with me on my side. He be with me on the low.